And we're in.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I just wanted to say that we're going to let some people come in as I want to give it a few minutes, let it marinate for people to come in and log in and attend. But we have a very special event tonight. We have four artists calling in from different parts of the world. So yes, four different time zones. So in that spirit, um, I'd like for all of you to take a moment to use the chat feature and tell us where you are attending and watching this event. I'm going to go ahead and start. I am coming from wet and rainy Pasadena. Hello, and I'll see you guys in a couple minutes. Okay, let's go ahead and get started here. Hello, everybody. My name is Rollence Patugan, and thank you for attending Pasadena Photography Arts Open Show event. This is number 49, and like as I mentioned, we have a very special event this evening, as we have four different artists presenting work from four different parts of the world, four different time zones, which I think is amazing. A little bit about our organization. The Pasadena Photography Arts, our main goal is to spotlight emerging and established photographers and lens-based artists, now globally. Our initial intent with this organization was to showcase talent east of Los Angeles. And when the pandemic happened, we converted to being online. And as a result, we were able to grow our community globally, as evident at this evening's event. These are some of the organizations that we partner with. Special shout out to Lens Scratch Online Magazine for putting out the open call for artists for this particular event. And in the wake of the devastating Eaton fire, AltadenaPhotographyArts.org was set up as a registry to provide photographers impacted by the fire with replacement equipment. If you are in a position to help out or would like to take advantage of their service, visit the AltadenaPhotographyArts.org website to find out how. Okay. Tonight's event is brought to you by the underwriters Howard Landau and Susan Gans. While we produce these events free to the public, we do incur costs. So if you would like to continue seeing these types of events, I highly encourage you to please make a donation to us. You can either go to PasadenaPhotographyArts.org or you can go use your phone for this QR code and make a donation. When going to the website, just scroll down and look for the donate button. Okay. And before we begin, I want to give a shout out to our crew here. Um, Dax will be my co-host, presenting the artists here. Say hello, Dax.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? Appreciate you guys for stopping in.
And the technical backbone to these events that we provide to you virtually online is Alexi. Say hello, Alexi.
Hey everyone,
Mm.
nice to see you.
And with that, let's get this party started, shall we? I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to my co-host, Dex.
Okay, how you doing, everybody? So we are gonna actually sit with the work shared for one full cycle in silence, so everybody can get a feel for it first before we hear the artist's statement. From there, after we've shown it, the artist will step in and make their own statements and anything that they want to share about their work, and then we'll open the floor for the audience to be able to ask questions or point out anything that they loved about the projects. So firstly, we have Theodore. Theodor Adam Petruna is a director of photography and photographer based in Paris, France, holding a BA in filmmaking with a specialization in cinematography. He was distinguished with the Best Cinematography Award in his final year. He later chose to further develop his craft by pursuing a master's degree in photography, which is really has recently which he has recently completed. He's driven by a passion for storytelling that connects people and perspectives. Theodore strives to create visually compelling narratives that evoke emotion and inspire dialogue. And a quick fun fact about Theodore is he worked on the broadcasting team for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, which that is very cool. I'm very jealous of that.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me show you my work. The series At Horizons is a collection of views of our forever changed landscapes. Our horizons are cluttered with advertisements. They promote food, alcohol, gambling, loans, prospects of better life. Each of these billboards promises something else. Some of them are empty, maybe because they deceived or they have fulfilled their promise. Some of them are in decay. They have lost their relevance in the fast-paced world that we live in. Nevertheless, they will be forever there, waiting for a new contract. And now if we could come back, please, to the image number 4. That's the buffet restaurant billboard. Yeah, if we can
Okay.
stop on this one. The reason is because this is the image that started this whole series. I grew up in Slovakia, and before I moved abroad for my studies, I was driving past this billboard several times a week. I have never noticed it, and it was only after I spent a considerable time away from my country and coming back in summer, I started sort of rediscovering this environment that I grew up in, but now I felt like a stranger in. So the summer I came back, I was driving on a highway and suddenly I noticed this billboard. It might have been the inviting colors or the ironic indicator to take an exit at the distance of 0 kilometers. Nevertheless, I decided to come back with my camera and walk through a cabbage field and take a picture. After I have taken this picture, I fully started the process of rediscovering. I started noticing more the surroundings of the roads I was taking every day, and I have noticed the ever important presence of billboard in Slovakia. Living in Paris, I don't, we are not, in Paris, you're not as exposed to ads anymore in this sort of way. It's very regulated, and most ads you see on public transport, bus stops, or some digital banners in the city, or the biggest ads that I have seen here are then when they are doing a construction on a house, they cover the scaffolding with a giant ad for some fashion brand. But in Slovakia, this aggressive billboard advertising is still very present, and you can find it at almost every intersection, even in the capital, in the center. So yeah, seeing these billboards when I came back became like a cultural shock. This series started in Slovakia, but this summer I had a chance to visit Spain, and I decided to extend this series to this country because I have found some great additions there. And as I encountered more and more billboards, I became aware of the interaction between them and their environment. Because after some time, the billboard becomes a reflection of its environment. They reveal what is to come through what they advertise or how they look, the state they're in. And each of them holds a small insight, a feeling about the future, about tomorrow. And I think the best example is this image right here, if we can stop on it for a bit. I think this image is perfect for this series because it shows us the playing between past and the future. Because in the past, this billboard stated that your decision, their future, and we can see the the result of what this billboard was trying to push. I guess it didn't work out for the person who was using this as a promotion. We can see that the billboard is falling apart, and even the environment around it, all the buildings are abandoned and full of graffiti. So it's a perfect example. And completely the opposite of this is the first image in the series. If we can check that, please. No, one more. Yeah, perfect. This one is also in a very bleak environment. The maintenance building has been broken into, but even with all the negative around it and with the billboard falling apart and being all rusty, we can see that the environment is still playing with the things we put in it and create something that I find for the emotion I connect is with hope. I find something positive that the environment found to show and created this figure in the billboard. So this series is still ongoing, and I plan to include more countries from Central Europe, like Hungary and Czech Republic, where the billboards are still very present. And I hope you will tune in sometime down the road. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Theodore. I got some questions for you. And first of all, I want to thank you coming in and calling in. It's 2:45 a.m. in Paris right now. But
Yeah.
thank you for joining us and showing us your work. I wanted to talk about how you're able to achieve capturing these images. Um, it's very consistent. Each shot, if we can kind of just keep looping there, Alexi, each shot is very consistent in its composition. You provide us a vantage point of where we can get a little closer, but yet you still include the surrounding environment for us to see where these billboards are sitting. You mentioned the buffet one, the very first one. You walked through a cabbage field. How difficult is it on average for you to achieve to get some of these shots? You're stopping your car and having to go walk a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, because of that, obviously, I need to be with someone. So I need someone to drive the car
Yeah.
and be with me because many of these are just stopping by the side of the road. I jump out with my equipment, and the person driving still has to circle around and come back to me when
Yeah.
I'm done. So mm, The beauty of this is that many of these are really by the road and they are really inaccessible because you are only supposed to go there if you are maintaining the billboard. So it's not like people can walk their dog next to these billboards.
Right.
So that's like the major difficulty, I would say.
Right. Um, yeah, and I like, and depending upon the beauty about art is there's just so many different ways you can interpret this. And as you said, that one billboard where it was tu decisión, su futura, it's your decision, it's your future. I mean, the political climate that we're in right now, that you you present that, it says a lot about what's going on now in any country, really. So, and I like how that is displayed and then juxtaposed with the one billboard where you saw it's in like this fog. You could barely see. I think it's the last image.
Yeah, yeah.
To me, that speaks of like resilience. It's still going to be out there no matter what kind of weather, it's still going to be standing. So I like how there's different ways for you to see this and how you can connect it with what's sort of going on around the world and whatever's happening in maybe your country or in any particular country's political climate. Dax, do you have any comments or questions for Theodore here?
Uh, Theodore, I love the composition work for your imagery. I feel like I have a very similar eye when it comes to photographing, especially like landscapes like this. I just think the simplicity of it, how you have for the most part all the billboards in the center frame or you have them coming off to the side. It's just beautiful work.
Thank you.
It definitely has also changed my perspective a lot on the billboards that you see. Like, because I feel like I also drive past a lot of the same ones, and they become so they just blend into the background almost for me now. But like, so it gives me a new perspective to see on this.
I also want to encourage our audience if they have any questions for Theodore, his link to his website is also in the chat. But if you have any specific questions about his process or any particular image, please put that in the chat. While that is going on, I wanted to ask Theodore. Um, I know your first image was about the buffet. What made you decide like this was something that you wanted to continue doing and even try doing in different countries?
Well, after I saw the first billboard, after I noticed the first billboard is exactly as you said, Dex, is that you drive by them every day, but you never notice them because they blend in the background. So after I saw this one, I immediately started seeing so many, and they were on the same road as I was taking again every day, and they started appearing everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we have a question from Larry. I'm curious why he chose to use square format.
I think I started with that because I think it felt appropriate for to put it in a box to I don't know. I just felt like it's appropriate, but I branched out to 4 by 5 as you can see here
Hmm.
also
Hmm.
because sometimes you need more of the environment. You need more of the background to understand the point.
Right.
And for most cases, I think still square is the best way to show this, but yeah, it felt more natural than any other technical reason behind it.
Yeah, great. Uh, let's see. Oh, okay. I got a comment from Julia here. I'll just read it. I'm surprised at how similar rural billboards can look across different countries. I spent a lot of my childhood in the rural US, and when I first saw these images, I thought some of them might be from there. I guess billboards in wide open spaces unite us all. Thank you for your unique perspective, drawing attention to them, Theodore. So that brings up a good question. So you've done this for in at least a couple of different countries. The similarities, obviously, any kind of differences that you would notice so far? Anything at all?
Actually, not really. I am lots of these are connected by the fact that they're so neglected and yet used so often for politicians, even for the current campaigns or for Christmas sales, they're still used so frequently, and yet they are neglected all over the world and still used. Yeah.
We have another question here. What do these images mean to you on an emotional level? Thank you, Larry Datillo.
I think, as I mentioned, for me, they were a way of when I left my country for to study in France, and after coming back, I felt like a stranger a bit in that country. So um, these images allowed me to reconnect with my home basically, and it's a lot of fun to rediscover the roads that I have been taking my whole life, and now I take them again with a fresh perspective. And every time I go somewhere, I take my camera, and that's a very good reason to take my camera because I am excited to take an image because yeah, it's more emotional, I guess, than yeah, yeah. Great question. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Theodore, for sharing your work with us. Once again,
Thank you.
everyone, his website is in the chat if you want to see more of his work. And we are going to continue to our next presenter. All right, next up, we have Louis Little, who is a photographer based in Bristol, United Kingdom. He is interested in the interconnection of family, place, and memory. His work begins close to home, documenting the rituals of daily life, exploring connections with place across generations. His images are rooted in the personal but speak to something shared, reflecting on how identity is shaped through everyday experience. Louis studied a Bachelor of Arts in Photography at the University of Plymouth and is currently completing a Master of Arts in Photography at the University of West England. Fun fact about Louis is that he currently works for legendary British documentary photographer Martin Parr. So we are going to be seeing Louis's work right now, The Station House. So, coming to you live from the United Kingdom, please give a welcome to Louis Little.
All right. Hello, everyone, and thanks for coming. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about my project, tell you a bit about the influences behind it, and yeah, what drives me as a photographer. And then, yeah, hopefully there'll be a few questions we can answer at the end as well. So, Station House is set in Northumberland, which is in the northeast of England, close to where England borders Scotland. As the name suggests, Station House, it was once a railway station. It first existed to aid the logistics of heavy industry in the northeast, and later began operating as a passenger train connecting rural communities to larger towns and cities. In the economic turmoil that followed at the end of the Second World War, passenger numbers declined and the line eventually closed in 1976. At the core of this project is a very simple narrative. It's really all it's about is two young boys visiting their granddad, who's called Graham. But beneath that simplicity, there's this tender document of childhood, family, ritual, place, and play. I'm interested in how small rituals that shape our daily lives reflect something greater about the places that become meaningful to us. The inspiration for this project first came in 2018 when I introduced my firstborn son, Otis, to his nana Joyce. Despite Joyce being in the final stages of dementia, I believe there was a moment of inner recognition between a grandmother and her grandson, who at that point was only a few days old. Standing beneath the silver birch tree in front of Station House, I felt a rare stillness that I've never felt before. I had this sudden rush of emotion come over me, followed by this incredibly calm sense of clarity and interconnectedness. Joyce died peacefully in her home of nearly 40 years, just over a year after that meeting with Otis beneath the silver birch tree. In the months that passed, I found myself thinking more broadly about how we're all connected. The iron atoms in our blood coursing through our veins, the calcium in our bones, the oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon in our brains that flicker with all our thoughts. All those elements were created inside stars that lived and died long before our own solar system even came into being. Perhaps this is what the American astrologer Carl Sagan meant when he said the cosmos is within us. What I've come to understand over the years is that consolation isn't necessarily something that comes from these grand gestures, but actually it's in the simple things, reoccurring acts that remind us that we have a responsibility of care to one another. It was around this time in 2018 that I started to take pictures. My aim back then was incredibly simple. I was interested in what it looked like to take photographs in a very small area. It's just an isolated house with a garden that's, you know, quite big, but or bigger than most, but not massive. And I was interested in what it looked like to photograph a very small area over a long period of time. But as my children grew up, their love for the place increased, and my focus shifted to exploring where this attachment to place comes from, which in turn led me to question my own attachment to the place. I was sort of questioning how I'd become so attached to this place because it wasn't, where I was from. But it had a deep importance for me. It's a source of solace, of care and renewal. It's also an incredibly generous place where people gather around a bonfire, have a beer and share a story. Photographically, it's a place I know I can come and experiment with picture ideas without any preconceived outcome. And it also offers refuge from an increasingly digital and distracted world. When I arrive, I usually put my phone down on the sideboard until the battery goes dead. And I don't really give a second thought about who's trying to contact me. It's a place that encourages a return to a slower rhythm of life, to family, and to the rituals that remind us we belong to one another and to the land. Central to the project is the house itself. The former railway station has since become a private dwelling, and this is the home of Graham. Surrounding the house is a tranquil garden, which was cultivated by Joyce and still thrives. It's a place that's teeming with natural wildlife, which is something that I've always been interested in from a very young age. It's got slow worms, toads, chaffinches, owls, peregrines, hen harriers. It's the kind of place that still feels like nature has a foothold. I've always said it just feels totally alive. And this became part of my documentation. Despite his years, Graham looks at the world with this childlike curiosity, an outlook that he shares with his grandchildren. Together, they catch mice, build bonfires, they pick fruit, feed the birds, and play small pranks on one another. These reoccurring gestures become small performances, connecting generations with each other through shared acts of play and ritual. And I've always described Station House as feeling a bit like a playground. It's got, open space to run free, trees to climb, and bonfires to burn. What I later came to discover is that these seemingly small personal expressions of freedom are all part of what's described as play theory, and that play, sorry, is a fundamental and primary element of human culture, just as essential as language or labor. In his book Homo Ludens, the Dutch historian Johan Huizinga describes the primary characteristics of play as being free, and that it is in fact freedom. To his grandchildren, Graham's home is more than just a house. It's a place of freedom, adventure, and discovery. It's a place where life slows down, a place where ritual, play, and nature interconnect. And it's a place where we can feel connection to each other and to the land itself. And that's what I'm hoping to achieve with the work is I'm hoping to invite viewers to pause and recognize how this interconnection may enrich our lives. And so my photographic process is totally intuitive. It's often shaped by the rhythm of domestic life and the natural world around it. The images shift between a keen attentiveness, the way the light pulls under a tree canopy, a hand gesture, and the energy of play, a magic trick performed at a kitchen table, a trampoline's brief suspension of gravity. At the heart of the work is this desire to stay curious and to invite viewers to do the same, to linger with the ordinary and to find traces of magic woven through the fabric of daily life. Thanks very much.
Well, thank you, Louis. I have a couple questions, but first I want to commend you in portraying such intimacy in this body of work. I mean, I don't know any of these people. However, after seeing these images, I I feel like I was there as an invited guest, or at least I'm very curious of who these people are. I kind of want to be in on it. I want to be part of this family. My couple of questions are this body of work that we're looking at, over what span of time would you say these images range from? And then the second part
Mm.
is you seem to capture moments that are just seem to be very candid and genuine. Um, how are you able to do that? Are you living with the camera? And I notice there's a flash in some of these, which could be very jarring to subject matter if you're trying to be very intimate or having them live without you interfering. So yeah, those are my two questions.
Yeah, thank you for your questions. Yeah, I mentioned that sort of that sort of key inspirational moment that came in 2018. And Station House is a place that I regularly visit. I might go 4 or 5 times a year. But really, it sort of only started to pick up pace in maybe the past 2 years, or maybe a year and a half. That's when I've really started to sort of shift my gaze into focusing on the family rituals, this sort of play element that's kind of bubbling under the surface. And to answer your second question, I'm not the kind of photographer that has a camera with me every day. But when I'm photographing, I'll always have my camera with me. And so it's almost like a switch, you turn it off, you turn it on. And yeah, when I'm at Station House, I've always got my camera with me, film loaded, uh, flash ready to go if I'm inside. Station House is on, like, it's halfway up a valley. So you either get, amazing light one half of the day or no light at all. And so yeah, you've got to get stuck in with a flash.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. We have some comments coming in. A comment from Terrence Rory. Wow, you took me somewhere I never been before and made me not want to leave. Loved your words too. Thank you. And oh, Chris,
Thank
hey
you so
Chris,
much.
Stanton, outstanding work. What was going on with the kid's face on the picture in the refrigerator? You know what, Chris? You and I think the same.
Yeah.
That was my thought too. What's going on there? That scared me a bit. So let's talk
Yeah.
about that. What's going on with that shot? If we can cue that up, Alexi, please.
Yeah, maybe let's cue the picture. Um, yeah, so I'm very keen to get my kids involved in taking pictures as well. So this particular picture that we're talking about with the fridge,
Yeah.
this is actually my eldest son Otis, who I spoke about earlier. He had actually pranked me when I'd come back from work, and he's sort of giggling away and like, "Oh, Dad, don't look in the fridge," you know. And so I'm like, "Oh God, what's going on here?" And I opened the fridge, and honestly, I was terrified as well. Otis had cut out a picture of his own head and put it in this jar and then submerged it in water, which gives it this really distorted sort of effect. And it was one of those things I thought that's incredible. We can take that and we can sort of we can take it to Station House and we can prank Grandad. And so I'm actually hidden under the kitchen table with my camera and my flash, and Otis is pranked Graham, and Graham's opened the fridge and grabbed a jar of pesto or something like that at the same
What
time.
was his reaction? Do you
Yeah, I
know?
mean, he was. I think Otis sort of gave the game away. I definitely gave the game away, but Grandad's like just really good at playing along with it, and yeah, I suppose it just created this very jarring image that I really liked.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I like how you paired it with the next image, uh, of bathtub full of water.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this image was actually taken like a couple of years before.
Okay.
This is Otis playing in the bath with like jelly that you get the kids get this stuff at Christmas
Right.
from aunties and uncles or whatever, and obviously they want to play with it immediately. And yeah, it just turns the water into this thick slime and this incredible color as well.
Yeah, this is amazing. Dax, do you have any questions or comments to add?
I really like how intimate this project is. I'm in the same mode as everybody else. It just feels so welcoming, and like I almost am like a part of the family now, and I just want to get to know like everybody and like just have fun with you guys, you know. But yeah, great work, Louis. I appreciate you sharing this with us. I also love the mix of like hard portraits like that, but also like just the candid moments too, because it just really feels it feels really thought provoked, but also like just still living in the moment at the same time.
Yeah,
As for
thanks for that.
of course, as for a couple more comments, we have Julia. I'm just going to read this off. The multiple generations of family and images from various seasons immediately made me think of the tomorrow theme, even before you started speaking, Louis. I particularly love the shots of the grandfather through the window and the giant icicle. Does your family have any historical connection to the railway?
Um, no historical connection to the railway. Actually, the story of the house is that so when the railway closed in 1976, British Rail sold the house, and then my partner's parents bought it in 1983, maybe. And so when they bought the house, that was the first time it would actually been lived in as a kind of private dwelling. Like before, it was the station master's house. But it's just one of these incredible locations that anyone who goes there will say it's sort of memorable. Um, yeah, and it also has this incredible viaduct that runs at the bottom of the garden, and so the viaduct used to carry the train over the River South Tyne along to the next part of the valley. So it's got this rich history, but at the end of the day, it's just it's kind of like any other home, except it's got this incredible location.
Right. Well, great. I think it is time for us to move on to the next presenter. Thank you so much, Louis,
Thank you.
for
Thank
presenting.
you.
And Dax, will you take us to our next presenter, please?
Yes. So we have Jackie Ma. Jackie Ma is a photographer based in California and Hong Kong. I believe right now he's in Hong Kong currently. His work focuses on capturing daily life and once in a lifetime moments in an effort to express emotions and to tell stories. He recently graduated from UC Berkeley, majoring in art practice and film and media. And Jackie's fun fact is he loves coffee. Jackie, I have a very important question. How are you making that coffee?
I don't make my own coffee.
Oh man. Okay. All right. Well, what are you ordering from the coffee shop?
Cortado.
Okay, I respect it. Simple man. Awesome. Well, go ahead and take it away. Or we're actually gonna play it really quick, and then Jackie will go ahead and jump on in.
Thank you for having me. Tomorrow is my letter to the future. When I'm photographing, I aim to seize the present moment and capture the sentiments of my subjects, whether it be humans, animals, nature, or objects. This journey drew me to abstract elements, allowing me to realize that emotions are not only reflected in human faces and actions, but also in overlooked in between moments and in the objects left behind. My work aims to capture both the visible and the unseen. Each emotion carries its own weight, reflects the passage of time, allowing us to interpret and connect with the moment, while drawing attention to environmental issues. By piecing together fragments of my surroundings as they fall apart, I expressed my fears of living in a shattering world. It helps me remember and cope with the ever-changing reality. Coming from a film study background, cinematography has influenced my work to capture these simple, insignificant, and natural moments, to express how complex and limitless we are when caught in a glimpse of a moment.
Thank you, Jackie. Looking at your images, uh, Louis mentioned this in his work about connectivity, and he expressed it in that way through family. I get this sense of longing for connectivity through your work, in that sense, whether it's that image of the hand on the window, um, these this one person out on the jetty by themselves, whether these establishments that are kind of closed down. Uh, I get this sense of the yearning for connection. My question is, uh, where did you photograph these, and parts of the world? And I guess, yeah, well, and where were these images taken?
Most of these are in California,
Hmm.
and some of these are in New York, and only the first photo was taken in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So in terms, did you initially, were you thinking about like this image right here, where like that to me, it speaks of like wanting to be connected with people, but there's a barrier. And even that child looking at the scuba diver with the glass, there's the yearning for connection, but there's still something in between this child and the scuba diver, obviously. It's not quite there for connection. Were you thinking in terms of those themes when you were doing this series?
When photographing, I'm not thinking about anything. But when I'm putting together the series, I was thinking about that. I'm an international student, so I move around a lot, I travel a lot, and whenever I go to a new place or even um, going back home, there's a disconnection phase uh, whenever I first arrive to a place. So I that's the disconnection. And
Yeah, for sure. And it's there. And even the shot with that couple with the slow shutter speed with it was like something passing by them. It seems it was almost like the connection's there, but it's fleeting. And that's kind of what it seems. That's kind of how I read it. A lot of these images are coming from from a window, from an interior looking outside. Kind of reminds me of, pandemic times as well, where we were trying to get connection, but we really couldn't because there was this barrier that we had to deal with, which is the pandemic. But I sort of got that, yearn for connection or this sort of connection through this. Wonderful work. Dax, do you have any comments or questions?
Uh, this project I thought was very fascinating to me with the way that you notice people in the scenes. I think like some of the first images, just after seeing them again, I thought it was very interesting how the frame was mostly the scene and the background and everything with just like a human just barely peeking through, just to kind of give you a sense of, I don't, to me, loneliness. Like Rollins was saying, was like you're to there's like a sense of longing for that connection, and I feel like those really played that role a lot. um I think also the framing and like composition wise is beautiful. Like how you have certain people in the car window and then you have somebody peeking through just a little bit on the car on from like a few photos ago, or like this one having the pole split the tree and then the people over here. And I think this one actually was my favorite altogether. So great work, Jackie.
thank you.
And we got
Yeah,
some comments, yeah, from Dan's Karaganis. Love your eye for frame, Jackie. The balloon through the car window is especially as it stood out. Yeah, that one too. It's again, there's something that's celebratory that should be celebratory there, but yet there's this barriers. There's so many barriers just to get to that sort of connection, right? And I like how it's just properly lit right there. Um, and from Julia and the guy, the bits of nature in this heavily urban street series are hopeful. Finding with green in near the city, I see the yearning for connection with nature too. Yeah, um, do agree. Um, any final comments from you, Dax, or anyone from the audience?
I do have one little comment. I love in some of the nighttime photos the connection with like the patches of light coming through. Like in the balloon one, you can see just like a bright light hitting the balloons. You have this image right here with just the church lights showing. I just think that's like a beautiful touch to kind of connect and keep the cohesive or the cohesion going for the images.
Yeah, for me, it's like looking into the future, and it's not clear. Yeah.
It never is, yeah.
So, are you continuing to do this work since you are kind of spending your time, splitting your time between Hong Kong and then California, or do you continue to do this, ongoing wherever you go?
Yeah, this is wherever I go. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those things. It's kind of a never-ending thing, or maybe you'll know when it's done, or you maybe take a step back at some point and have like a retrospect of certain images for a certain era, I think, right? Um, What were the, I guess, I don't know if you mentioned this with the years, I guess the span of time between these images?
T last year and this year. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Jackie. And it's what is it? What time is it in Hong Kong right now?
It's 10:21 in the morning.
That's time for a second or third cup of coffee, right?
Yeah.
Real
Okay.
quick,
Yeah.
Louis did have a question. Do you have
Yeah,
any
sure.
plans on where you would like to take the work to next?
Yes.
I recently moved back to Hong Kong for a year, so there's only one photo in this series from Hong Kong, so I'm still shooting in Hong Kong. So that's where it's going next.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
You-
Okay. And our final presenter. Tatiana Ulemskaya is a documentary photographer based in Moscow. She studies at the Moscow State Institute of Culture, specializing in photographic art. In her work, she explores themes related to the interconnection between humans and nature. Her photographs often tell stories about individuals whose daily lives and routines differ significantly from those typical for city dwellers. Through her lens, Tatiana captures unique narratives that shed light on lesser known aspects of human existence. Fun fact about Tatiana is that she gives names to random objects on her desk. It makes stationery feel a little bit more alive. I completely agree with you. Who doesn't love an audience? All right, let's take a look at her work. All right, coming to you live from Moscow. Please welcome Tatiana
Uh,
Ulemskaya.
uh, Hi. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Pasadena Arts and the whole team for giving me an opportunity to present my photo story on the open show. This is my first international experience, and I hope you will enjoy my narrative. So today I'm going to tell you about my project, The Last Dweller. I live in Russia, in Moscow, but the events of my project take place in the Tver region, a city located quite far from the capital. So we call such places dacha, where people spend their summer vacations. Previously, such places were villages where people lived with their big families and even had farms. But nowadays, everything changed radically, and most of villages are abandoned. So during one of these trips this summer, I met the main hero of my photo story, Vladimir, who lived in the village a half of his life and spending it on beekeeping. So after we got to know each other a little better, I proposed that he participate in a photo series about himself and his work, which he gladly accepted. So from that moment, I began to make photographs while Vladimir told me stories from the past of the village. When he first arrived in the village Nikitina in 1978, on the advice of a friend, he had no particular expectations. However, the village made a strong impression on him. Something about this place touched him, and he wanted to stay. So at that time, Nikitina was still lively. There were 17 courtyards, and churches rose every 3 or 4 kilometers around, forming a single parish. And the old-timers told Vladimir interesting stories about how local children gathered in a huge companies, up to 60 people of different ages, and arranged festivities. But nowadays, this territory is not thickly populated, and Vladimir is its last resident. So the hero of my photo story is a true master of all trades. He monitors the fruitfulness of trees, vegetable harvest, repairs, and constructions. But his main hobby is beekeeping, which he got acquainted in his youth. Vladimir's childhood passed in the working area of Leonozovo. It's a small town near from Moscow. And there were a lot of funny stories when he was a boy. And one of them is when one day, together with his friends, they ran through the streets and collected bee swarms. And one held a bathtub, and the other shook the bees there. Once this swarm scattered, and some of the bees rushed to his nanny, Polina. And Vladimir notes that then he felt like a real hero. After all, he was the first who rushed to rescue her, put out a bee tangled in her hair, but at the same time tore off a new ring from her ear. So Vladimir had to spend more than one winter in Nikitina, and the frost in the village can be severe, and snow drifts sometimes reach half the window. He admits that there are days when he doesn't want to go outside at all, but the thought that no one but him will finish what he started always gives him strength. And today, Vladimir is 77 years old and almost half a century, 47. He has devoted to life in the village and his hobby. Despite his age, he doesn't lose his taste for life and continues to create. He writes poems, paints pictures, and smiles, calling himself a young artist. One of the most significant events of summer for Vladimir remains the holiday of honey spas. On this day, his house becomes a center of attraction for neighbors and guests from nearby villages. People gather at a common table, share news, taste fresh honey, and simply enjoy spending time together. Gradually, such meetings turned into a good tradition that unites old friends, helps gather new people, and, as the owner himself believes, to preserve life in villages. No less important place in Vladimir's life is occupied by his grandchildren. He has 4 of them. Every summer they come to their beloved grandfather, as if continuing the same village story when children gathered in large companies filled the streets with laughter. And despite their persuasion to move to the city, Vladimir remains adamant. For him, Nikitina is the real home. And he said, there I'm not the owner, but here is my home, my land. Talking about the photo story and the contest of the open show, I want to say that our past has a great impact on our future. And we shouldn't forget about places we love and keep history of their territories in the memory of our ancestors. So my project is about a man whose everyday life is tied to village and stands in stark contrast to the usual rhythm of city living. In and around his home are traces of time and labor. Every corner is filled with history, and each day is a struggle to preserve what is dear to the heart. Vladimir isn't just a villager. He is the keeper of its soul, memory, future. This photographic series attempts to show how a person lives, choosing a path away from the hustle and bustle of big cities. This is a story about strength of spirit, love for nature, and the ability to find beauty in simplicity. So, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Tatiana. That was amazing. Um, I yeah, I've got so many different questions here, but first of all, I wanted to commend how you photographed this series, and it could have been photographed 50 years ago. It's very timeless. We don't have that sense of, the cell phone or any kind of modern clues of when this was taken. And it feels like it from a different era, yet this is the present day. I guess my question is, well, one, were you stung by any of the bees? Two, is he sort of isolated? Is he close by to like a market? Is it easy for him to like go out and get supplies that he needs?
Uh, thanks for your question. No, I hadn't a bite from a bee. Uh, and talking about the territory of that man, yeah, it is quite isolated, but he had lots of friends from the near villages. So everything he needed, he can get. Also because he had a car and an ability to drive. So,
Okay. Thank you. We have a comment here from Julia. Your environmental portraits are wonderful. I love the portraits of Vladimir with the beekeeping smoke and the dandelions. Agreed. Are there any rural revitalization movements in Russian villages, or are they expected to become totally abandoned over the next few decades?
um, I think that in Russia, people hope that that life will came to the villages again, because it is our history and that places should live in. And nowadays, there are lots of things, such as helping new people to come from the big cities, like to be a doctor or a teacher in a village or a countryside. So I think it is really helpful for young people to have an opportunity to live there.
Great. When you were photographing him, um, did you get a sense, or did you talk about what was his decision that he came to stay here? If he had other choices to go somewhere else, why did he choose to live this type of life?
Yeah, I've asked some questions about that. I think it is quite difficult for a city liver to understand why this decision uh, about this decision. So he really wanted to live there, to leave the big city and just to take his hobby, to be closer to the nature.
Great. Thank you. Dax, you have anything to add?
This is a beautiful project. I think it does a really good job of taking you into the environment that he's in and gets like a sense of essentially what he loves about this hobby of his. I think some of the big things that really stuck out to me is like at least photographic wise is your use of light and shadow. I noticed that there are certain images that have like some very harsh shadows, and there are certain images that are a lot more softer. But the ones that kind of really stuck out to me are the ones that have the harsh shadows, like this dandelion one. Was there any thought that you had going into making him have like a shadow on his face, or was it kind of just you were taking the photo and it worked out like that?
Um, thank you. It was just a random moment. He was like, "Oh, have you look at that little flowers? It's not just the flowers; it's things that bee can get some honey then." So I was just, "Oh, stop for a moment. I should take a picture." And I was afraid that the focus wouldn't be on the right spot, but when I saw it, it was great, and I think that this photo should have a place in my photo story.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, agreed. I love that image as well. It's so telling of the environment and who this person is. Um, Thank you so much, Tatiana, for again taking the time to come out and speak with us and share your work. If you're interested in seeing her work or any of the artists' work, please check the chat section for their Instagrams or websites. Um, that brings us to the end of this sort of uh, unprecedented event of having four different artists from different parts of the world. And I really love the fact that Pasadena Photography Arts has been able to extend our community globally, and we want to continue to do so. So again, if you love this programming, type of programming, I highly suggest please going to our website, pasadenaphotographyarts.org, and make a donation. And look out for our next event that's coming up. Check our website or join our mailing list as well to get informed on that. So, on behalf of Pasadena Photography Arts, I want to thank all of the artists for coming in this evening or this morning, depending where you're coming from, and presenting their work. Thank you so much to Dax, my co-host, and Alexi for giving us that backbone support. And I want to wish you all a good evening or a good morning. Until then, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you guys.
Bye, everyone. Bye.